Hey guys, welcome to DreamCoin, where we show how to invest for a better tomorrow. My name's Tyler, and today we're going to be going over a couple different IPOs, more specifically the Duolingo IPO and the Robinhood IPO, and how you can get those accessed if you are on the Robinhood app, as well as where I see their valuations coming after the IPOs actually launch. So to get into it with Duolingo, they're eyeing a 300 billion plus valuation just at their IPO pricing. I had originally given estimates that I think Duolingo could be worth about $6 billion or more in the future, looking more towards a year or two from now. This comes into where they could possibly be doubling in price per share, where in a year or two, if they get a lot of hype coming off this IPO and a lot of people are looking into holding on to these shares over time, as we look at where their price range is, they're looking to sell shares between $85 and $95, and with $95, their valuation would be about $4.38 billion, which if you go off of my $6 billion valuation would set them up to be potentially up into that area of about $160 to $180 a share in the future. They're a very known company. A lot of people use this service, and I think this is going to be a huge move for a lot of the people in their space, where it's just a lot of more app tech companies possibly getting the push to go public at some point. And I think it's just a very good push for the industry in general for what they're trying to do. Robinhood, on the other hand, is eyeing about $35 billion in valuation for coming into their IPO. They are looking to sell 55 million shares as compared to the Duolingo just under 2 million share offering. And they would basically be selling their shares between $38 and $42 as this IPO comes out as well. Something to keep in mind when you get into IPOs, whether the companies are super good or not, or whatever the public sentiment is, a lot of people are going to be looking at Robinhood negatively, and I've seen a lot of chatter on social media where people are joking about shorting them, but you have to understand there's going to be a lot of big buyers in this too, and I don't think they're necessarily going to drop on IPO day, and I think they're actually going to increase, at least for an initial spike after their IPO date. Looking the same way with Duolingo, a lot of IPOs usually have a solid 15 to 20% spike from their prices going into the market for when they actually go between the IPO listing and the direct listing day. And so this sets them up to where we could be seeing possible gains you can capitalize on, basically flipping these going into their direct listing. You can see with the 20% buffer, they're listing Duolingo for up to $114 a share. And for the Robinhood listing, they're topping it out at about $50.40 with the 20% buffer. Going off of the last IPOs, it seemed like a lot of people that were bidding at the higher range were getting access to more shares when I was talking to people after the Clear Secure IPO and everything that went down with that. I'm not going to tell you where to put your bid price or anything at, but that seemed to be the common theme where a lot of people actually didn't get into IPOs last time, and it could get into a situation where you might not get shares if you're trying to lowball this. So I would keep that in mind for where you want to possibly get into this, because if the IPO listing isn't too high for everybody bidding in, you'll still get your shares and you won't pay that high end price. But if you show interest at that higher price, it might be more incentivizing for them to offer you shares. So that's something you might want to look at as you go into both of these. As we look at the direct listing prices, if we go off of their peak prices, I'm going to be projecting where I think they could possibly spike on direct listing day. Obviously, this is just speculation. We can't know for certain where everything is going to be, but basically considering both of these have been hotly anticipated, Hood being more controversial, so they're possibly being downside, we could be seeing spikes just on Hood where it's $55 plus a share on an initial spike on direct listing day. Obviously, it could sell off after that, but I think it's going to be a very wanted stock, even outside of the controversies with Robinhood, especially by institutional buyers, knowing people are against the stock and possibly don't want to deal in that. As for Duolingo, I think with a $95 valuation at IPO, they could be seeing a peak of about $120 to $130, which would set them up to have a nice little spike of profits for you, where you can flip this into $20 to $30 a share, depending on how many you get in. Obviously, don't get into this banking on initial day spikes. Usually IPOs are more known for, if you believe in the company, you can get a very cheap valuation for the long-term future and obviously average in over time. But if you want to be able to flip these are the price ranges that I think they're possibly going to fall in just on initial day spiking that could possibly land you some gains. For the downside, obviously anything below their IPO price is probably going to be your downside. So that would be kind of just what your risk evaluation should be, is if I'm buying at this price, do I think I want to deal with it dropping much lower than this on direct listing, or even holding this long term so I'm avoiding that sell off. I do just want to point out that we have the dollar cost averaging video that I put out a couple days ago, and that'll help you with entering your positions and everything in general. So say if you want to get into this, not on IPO day, but on the direct listing day, and you want to kind of play some of the volatility and feel out how the market's playing it before you actually get in, that would be a good video to start, because you can figure out how to average in a little bit better even in volatile conditions to get you some possible day trading going on in those as well. That's going to do it for me in this video today, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.